Welcome back to the second installment of my interview preparation series, where we're going to be putting some of my students through the interview hot seat, where we simulate interview scenarios, get them under pressure, mimicking and simulating the real scenario, and then we go through at the end and give feedback and model answers. If you haven't seen the first installment of this series, I recommend that you watch that first, which you can check out here, and then that will orientate you as to how this series is going to go and how you can benefit from it and apply the lessons to your own practice for when you interview. Otherwise, we'll just get straight on with it. We're going to start with a question, have a think, pause the video as to how you would answer it before you actually watch what the other person does, so then you can get into the mindset of when you're going to be interviewing. Otherwise, enjoy, and I will see you in the video.
Question 2. I'm going to save Josh for last. So, Sajar, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me spotlight you quickly. And then... Okay, ready? So, why is stress management important for a doctor?
Well, I think there are two main reasons why stress management is important for a doctor. The first one would be to do with the patient, and the second one is with the doctor themselves. So let's say the doctor's in a situation where they are in a high amount of stress. That would not only impact the doctor's own mental health and possibly their physical health, but it would also impact the quality of care that the doctor is able to give the patient. For example, it could mean that they might make more rash decisions than usual, or they might not be as attentive to the patient and miss out some details which are important and could affect the overall treatment that they give the patient. Stress is also important because it can eventually lead to quite severe burnout. So, for example, during the time when I was doing my A-levels at the start of year 13, there was quite a lot of things going on. I had to do my mocks, the interviews. There was also writing the personal statement and getting my work experience done, and my UCAT. All of these things eventually built up over each other, and led to me starting to feel like I'm about to be burnt out. When I started to feel that, I realized I had to take a step back and look after myself, otherwise it would impact all the other things that I was trying to do, and it would not be beneficial for me to continue during that stressful period. So giving myself that little time to kind of stress relief and stress manage my situation allowed me to bounce back and face all these things in a more effective and efficient way. And this could also be redirected to doctors if they feel themselves burning out, they see that the stress is becoming too much, to be able to identify that and see that this is happening to them before it reaches a severe stage, means that they can take time to stress manage so say you're at a lower level of stress, it would take less time to bounce back rather than you're burnt out and you take a lot of time off. So that way they would not be compromising the patient's health, and they would not be compromising their own health at the same time.
How do you know when you're stressed? How do you identify when you yourself are getting stressed?
Well, there are usually quite a few signs that I've noticed throughout the years, which I've taken note of. For example, I tend to start sleeping a lot, or I become more agitated. When I see that happening, and family friends around me have also noted this and told me that these are some signs that I show and that they realize, oh, I'm starting to be a bit stressed. When I see that, then I straight away take a step back, because I don't want it to get too far and affect me in a bad way that might take more time to bounce back from.
Do you not think sometimes that not necessarily you in this situation, but maybe doctors should develop more resilience and be less susceptible to stress?
I don't think resilience means not feeling stress. I think resilience is more about understanding your own capabilities and assessing your own situation in a way where you can continue working without compromising your health. For example, for me to be resilient, means to be able to prioritize, to know what to prioritize and when to prioritize it. So that way, for example, sorry, just a second, I lost my track of thought.
No problem, take your time.
Okay, sorry. While it's important to be resilient and continue working hard, it doesn't reach a lot of benefit if you've reached a point of resilience where you're burning out, because in a way it's actually making your work a lot less efficient and not benefiting you, or say a doctor not benefiting their patients either. So to be resilient to the point where you're ignoring your own stress and you're pushing it back, pretending it's not there, that's I don't think that's beneficial for anyone.
Okay, and what is it you do to protect yourself against suffering from long-term stress or short-term stress?
Well, a routine that I've put in place for the last few years now is that I always have a certain period of time a week, let's say 4 hours on a Sunday evening, where I don't do any work or don't engage in any activities that require a lot of effort. So I take that time to relax. I also make sure that every week I have some sort of physical activity. For example, I went through a period where I would go to swimming every week, and in year 12 I would go boxing every week. And these kind of allowed me to stress relief, so that anything going on during that week I can just focus on that and relieve myself through some physical exercise. And the third thing, which is one of the most important things for me, is having that support network. My support network consists of my family and a few really close friends. Whenever I feel stressed, I usually go to them and I talk to them about my stress, and we go through it together. And being able to go through it with them, sometimes it gives me a new perspective to what I'm going through, and it helps me either find a solution or be able to process the emotions that I'm experiencing.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. And we can stop there.
Thank you.
Well done. So I'll ask you first, Ajay. What do you think?
I think for the resilient question, I start waffling a lot because my mind somehow went blank and I couldn't really think of what I'm saying. And another thing is that I couldn't structure with the answer in my head before answering. So it was like I was going with the flow rather than giving a good solid structure.
Yeah, and I mean that question was there to throw you, right? It's not the meanest question, but it was a semi-mean question just to see how you handled that, and that's fine. I think you answered it quite well. I think you said, obviously it's not good for the long term, for patient care, for all those sorts of things, for a doctor to just persevere when they are getting stressed and just kind of soldier on. And you understood the long-term consequences of that. So now I think that although it's easy to feel like you're waffling when you get thrown like that, and maybe we could have cut the answer a little bit shorter, but I think the essence of it was there, and with a bit of refinement and practice we'll get that. We need to get into the situation where we know what to do when we don't know what to say, right? And then so we'll get to that. Okay, so just open floor, good or bad. If anyone wants to say, do the criticism sandwich of one good, one bad, one good, or not bad, but room for improvement, because none of it was bad. Does anyone have anything that they would like to volunteer? Yeah, go ahead, Tijuana. Best to just unmute or put your hand up, because I can't really manage the chat very well at the same time as the call. Go ahead.
Isn't working, sorry.
No, it's okay. You can. I don't mind anybody just unmuting.
Unmuting, okay. I thought what you did really, really well is linking the question to how you deal with stress. So when you were talking about when you were recognizing your stress in the first part, I thought that was really good because it showed that you had obviously not rehearsed, but you were prepared. Like you had prepared your answer, and you were prepared to talk about things further beyond the question. I'd say one thing for improvement would probably be just like more, obviously this is early days, but probably just more practice will make you feel more comfortable if you hit another stumble like I did as well when I was speaking. So I just think like if we do more practice, I feel like that will get better over time. So you did really good. Like I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Anybody else want to offer any opinion?
Right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Jess.
Yes, hi. Saja, that was amazing. You had like some really good content. I mean, half of the stuff that you were coming up with, I was like, oh, I didn't think of that myself. I think, if anything, just to add to Anna's comment, just slow it down. You know, I wouldn't be afraid to just slow it down a little bit sometimes as well. I think that you had quite a lot of content and quite a lot of ideas and points that you really wanted to get across. I think the only thing that I found a bit challenging was just following that, and just where it was, you were really rolling it off your tongue like that, which is quite impressive, really, I have to say. And I just wanted to ask as well to the floor and to Ash, just with that, you know, the point is obviously to big yourself up and link it back to your experiences and what you've done. But I just wondered, just where you opened with, it was a very general question, you know, why is stress management good for doctors? Sort of, you know, are they looking for us to really get to the point, answer that in 2 or 3 sentences, and then from there, is it more you'll follow on from something that we've said, or you'll sort of ask, okay, well, in what ways have you managed stress yourself, or something like that? Or should we rely on that, or should we just sort of go straight into, you know, the examples and the scare tactic and etc.?
I think the stronger candidates will take initiative themselves to kind of go down the path of, right, this is why it's important. Well, I'll kind of give my feedback in a minute, but this is why it's important, and identify how they know that. So usually that's a good invitation to say, on my work experience, I discussed this with one of the F1s who was talking about how it can be stressful at times, talked about stress management things. I engage in, you know, there are several ways that I manage my stress and kind of try and ensure and maintain my longevity. And I do this, and this, and I find them really helpful, and they'll carry forward. You know, I'm excited. If it's, remind me, what was it boxing you said you did, Saja? Boxing, yeah. So for example, yeah, you could even say, yeah, boxing is one of the things that is my biggest stress release, and I'm actually really looking, I've looked on the website, the uni website for the student union, and see that there's a fantastic boxing club, which I'm really excited to join if I were to be offered a place here, sort of thing. That's a nice kind of way to round it off. So, okay, cool. So how are we doing for time? Okay, oh God. I would say it was really good. And I think what I really liked is how you started by saying it's not just about the doctors, it's about the patients. And you kind of broke it down into short-term and long-term, in that the doctors, if they're too stressed, they won't deliver good patient care. But actually, if they burn out, then that's one less doctor who's able to work for a period of time and you know, deplete the workforce and X, Y, and Z. So that was really good. I think you, despite, yeah, maybe the answer to my question, which was designed to throw you, was a little long, because I think if you'd have cut it halfway through, you'd have delivered a good answer. You were just kind of reiterating the point the second time. So just have the confidence to say, no, I don't think that it's important to just soldier on, because that's how that leads to burnout and X, Y, and Z. So yeah, that was good. I think you just need to be punchy with that, but that will come with confidence, and after a bit of practice of people pushing back with questions to your answers, that will just come. I like how when you kind of felt like you were going a little bit wayward, you took the time to just say, wait a minute, can I just regain my train of thought? And so that's really good. That shows maturity to be able to do that, to just say, well, can I just have a moment to gather my thoughts? Because rather than a lot of people just kind of keep going and say something stupid that they don't mean. it shows maturity to be able to do that. So well done. I think one thing that could have improved it, if you could, like I said before, if you would have gone into your own ways of stress management without being prompted, that would have been great. But one thing that would really is a good way to demonstrate your insight into medicine is, as I said before with the example, if you can talk about how you know the importance of stress management. So when, like I say, when I was on my shadowing placement, I spoke to some doctors, or I have read some books by doctors, and they talk about the importance of stress management and avoiding burnout and preserving one's mental health. That sort of thing is gonna just, it's that little, you're kind of dropping in that little nugget of like, oh, and by the way, I've done some work experience sort of thing. So yeah, no, it was really good. It was really good. So, and you know, I think as it is, it's pretty close. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I know you were a bit hard on yourself there, but you're not far off being that being a interview ready answer.